Martha.
Here.
That's everyone.
Okay, we have a quorum. You'll all stand now for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Thank you, Jamie. Is there a second? Jim, motion and a second for the approval of the agenda. All in favor? Is everyone? Got some recognition.
We do. If I can have our PTO moms come on up. Yay. Eric wants you to stand here. No?
When we do the picture, you guys can stand there so the camera can see.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
but
come to the
afterwards
X.
we're gonna take a picture.
We're figuring out the logistics here. So thank you for coming. Want to apologize. I invited them last month, but gave them the wrong date. So it's kind of hard to come to a meeting when you give them the wrong date. I gave them this month's date, but for last month. So thanks for coming. I just want to take a minute and recognize them. I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves, if you will, so the board knows who you are.
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Tara Titus, I'm the treasurer for the PTO.
I'm Tessa Cabell. I'm the former secretary and now president of PTO.
I'm Tracy Newcomer. I was president and now I'm social media secretary.
Very good, awesome. So when my first year, I think PTO had kind of dissolved over COVID, and Giovanna Ross had come to me and said, I really want to try to start PTO up again, what can we do? And she said, we'll have any interest. And we kind of started getting some things going. But what these ladies have done just in 3 years with redeveloping PTO has been amazing. And what makes Oak Grove unique in so many ways is being one campus, but being one campus as PTO organization, they acknowledge and they support middle school and high school too. And that doesn't usually happen in most schools. It just focuses on elementary. And so just some of the things that they've highlighted, I'm stealing some of their accolades, but they plan a lot of activities and events just to get families on campus, to bring kids with their parents, to partner to do fun activities at school, just to create that community. But they've had a readathon. They stocked a fridge for all the staff rooms for back to school. They hosted a family fall night. They throw all the parties for the primary and the elementary for all the holiday parties and the parties throughout the school year. They coordinated a penny war with Odessa. They provided lunch for all the teachers for parent-teacher conference day. They hosted the first ever STEM night, hosted a holiday shop and Panther Peppermint Plaza, coordinated a glow run for fundraiser, hosted a spring carnival, purchased over $6,000 worth of wish list items for our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. Provide snacks and drinks for Teacher Appreciation Week in all 4 buildings, and through an end of the year school dance and so much more. I know next week you've got, or is that next week, the pool party? Pool party to welcome all of our students back. So just some amazing things you guys are doing to bring community to our school district. We love partnering, but also the fact that you acknowledge all of our teachers constantly. The day after the tax levy, teachers were kind of bummed that it didn't pass. They showed up at every building with cookies and with drinks for the teachers lounge. So always supporting the staff, supporting the district, and then providing fun activities for our students with their families. So we want to thank you. Do you want to share anything else that we have coming up this next year?
We actually have already planned semester 1, so we have a lot of the same fun events coming up. We have the pool party you mentioned. That will give us a bunch of school supply donations, which we hope to give back and split among all the schools. August 13th, we're planning on stocking the fridges again for all the teachers to welcome them back. We'll have representatives at each building on 8/18 for Meet the Teacher. We'll be selling apparel and giving away desk pets to all the kids. We'll also have the yard signs at each school to welcome everyone back, and it's a good picture opportunity. Our first PTO meeting will be on August 26th at 7 p.m. We're going to do PTO at the new park that they just built, so parents can hopefully bring their kids and feel a little more welcome to coming to that for the first time. August 29th, we're going to do popsicles at the playground, which will be another free event we're hoping to do to get people out to the primary playground. I know Michelle and I had talked about doing a tailgate again, but we think this might be a good way to get people out before the football game and hopefully get some more families involved. And then in the fall, we hope to do our readathon again. That's one of our big fundraisers. That way we can help all 4 schools and not just the primary and elementary school. We'll also do Steam Night again, and then we'll have Grinchmas and our holiday shop again coming up.
Yeah, fantastic. And we do want to help get the word out too, that it is kindergarten through 12th grade, and we always need more volunteers. You'll see the same 5-6 ladies at every meeting, and dads come and help too. You'll see the same volunteers, and so the more that we can get more volunteers to step in and be willing to help and plan and teamwork, you guys do a great job. But just the creativity and the ideas, and already the events you had, the spring activity night was huge. The fall or the spring fall carnival. I mean, I can believe how crowded it was the whole night long. So we're just spreading, and we can get more volunteers. But we just want to thank you for supporting our students and our teachers and our staff for Oak Grove.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate all that you guys do.
And we are happy to receive any feedback on how you guys have ideas to get more middle school and high school parents involved. One thing we had talked about was maybe going to their back to school night or meet the teacher
Sure,
night
yeah.
too, and having a table set up. But we're always open to feedback on, so we can keep supporting all 4 schools.
It's fantastic. Well, thank you. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
all you do. Great. Do I need to?
Yeah, you need to.
I have one board member. One board member present.
Come on, Keith. You got the orange on.
Got the shirt on. Got the shirt on, the great color shirt.
Over on this side.
This side?
Yeah. So you're even.
Okay, I mean, we got X marks the spot. We've got-
Move in a little bit. Yep.
Is there anything particular way I should stand?
You all are being really dramatic there. Okay.
I'm gonna take 2. 1, 2. Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, lady. Appreciate you coming.
Next up is consent agenda. Motion and a second for the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Jason. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? First action item, budget revision number 3.
Correct, so this is amending actualization of the 24-25 budget. So when you open that document, it's the full budget with all the amendments. If you scroll down to page 23 and 24 are all of budget amendments. And so essentially, we just, this is updating our revenues to actuals, what we received versus what we had budgeted. And we do that twice when we do the other budget amendments. But this includes all finalization on grants and everything else. And then the expenditures, at the end of the year, we have the longevity, career ladder, summer school that updated, as well as finalization of some transportation and food service. So this budget amendment is budget to actual. And if you scroll down to page 24, this is our year end, which is our year beginning for 25-26. So next month I'll come back and we'll have, these are the numbers that were left blank in that budget, the budget letter that we did in June. So this will be all those numbers updated to kind of show us where we're beginning the year, so we can better plan out the future. So do want to know, the budget that was approved said that we would end at 8.9% reserves. We are ending it at 10.8% reserves. So still low, extremely low, and that's what's concerning, which is why we have had the need for the tax levy in April, and why we've gone back for the transfer only in August. If we receive that, if that passes in August, and we receive those funds, this will be a good year to be able to use that to help get our reserves back to where they need to be, and then be able to make that longevity plan going forward for our salaries. So all in all, I mean, our board goal is probably 20%, but 15 is healthy. And so being right at 11% reserves creates cash flow issues, to be honest. So anxiously awaiting the ballot in August so that we can get that transfer and get those funds where we need them to be.
Any questions or comments on the budget revision? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget revision as presented.
I'll second.
Amy? Thank you, Terry. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? That's everyone. Next up is non-resident tuition rate.
So this is something we do annually, and just as a reminder, DESE reads all of our financial documents, and they tell us what our expenditure per ADA, average daily attendance, what we spend per child, which is what we set our tax rate on, our tuition rate for the next following year. So this is non-resident tuition. So this is a student that would want to come and enroll in Oak Grove that does not live here, is not deemed homeless, and their family does not own enough property for the tax credit. So this would be if a family just wanted their child to attend Oak Grove, but they do not live in the district. Last year, the per expenditure ADA was $10,774. This year, based on last year's attendance, is $11,267. So the recommendation is to continue setting it at that price until.
Just out of curiosity, how many students do we have?
It varies. We didn't have any last year. The year before we had one for a semester. So it really does vary. Very few because of the cost. When people call and ask, quite a few will call and ask. Had one today call and they moved apartments and they're across the boundary line and wanted to know what they could pay tuition. And of course, when you tell them, then it's.
If they were to make the decision to pay the $11,000, we would then get credit for them showing up. So wouldn't the actual expenditure for us to educate that kid be less?
Because we would receive ADA on them. Which,
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, I brought this up in the past,
Yeah.
I've got the same argument as, and I guess my question is, I don't know that it matters. If 6,000 is too much, then 11,000 is just more of too much. So I don't know that it changes that for anybody. But yeah, that's, basing it off the cost makes sense, but when you figure we're actually gonna get reimbursed for having a child in that seat,
The next year.
I do kind of feel like sometimes we should reduce it by that amount so that we still get the same amount, but I don't know, what is the six?
It varies, but
Yeah.
around 6,000.
Yeah, which would lower it down to 5 or 6, 5-ish.
Yeah, I mean, as a board, we can set it whatever we want. This is just the recommendation from DESE that the majority of schools do set, and this is what they go off of. We have to remember too, what we lose is this family doesn't pay taxes. Wherever they are living, their taxes are going to that school. And this is, so we're missing out on that piece as well.
Any other questions or comments?
It's hard to oppose it, but at the same time, I mean, if that's our real cost, I just don't understand why we just don't say it's like 7,000.
Right.
I don't think it'd make a difference.
Yeah, I don't think I'm familiar. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. You have a motion and a second for the approval of the non-resident tuition rate for 2025-2026 school year at $11,267 as presented. All in favor? 7-1. Next up is change order number 2 for the parking lot.
Correct, so I emailed you guys this to kind of give you that heads up, but we knew that this was coming as well. If you remember, we were stalled in the parking lot because of Spire and needing them to get out and do the, move that gas line. And then once they moved that gas line, there was more additional backflow, is that what we call it? Backfill, not flow, but there's additional backfill to get that where it needed to be before they asphalted it. So this is the final, this is, as your reminder, when we had that Spire and we had to move that gas line, we know that we have all the documentation saying that Spire did this 5 years ago, so we're hoping to be able to fight it, and we'll fight this with it. Now, I don't know where that's gonna go, but we definitely will fight Spire, because right now it's to the tune of, what was the gas line to be moved, do you remember?
What was it?
How much it was to move the gas line? I can't remember, 25,000,
Yeah, it was like 20,
30,000?
25 to 30, yeah.
So we're looking at $45,000 that we feel like.
It was 40, and we backed them down a little bit.
Okay,
It started pretty high.
yeah. So we'll be fighting it with Spire, but that's not a CAT responsibility.
When we say fighting it, what does that entail? Is that our lawyer talking to them?
Well, we hope before that us,
Yeah.
just because we have the emails and the documentation that says that they adequately did it correctly back then. And then until we removed soil to start on this project, did we realize that they didn't do what they had said through emails that we have. So our hope is that we can go with it that way.
Right. sorry, is it, how much is the actual amount on the second change order?
$15,149. Well,
The very top, okay.
14,100. So the total cost to backfill was 15,000. We've got a $3,000 credit because we decided not to sod. We decided to come and seed in the fall. And then we asked for a bid. We asked Cat to give us a bid on, now that the parking lot's so pretty, the lines and the old part are so faded you can't see. So we asked what would it cost just to stripe those lines so that they're brighter, we can see them better and they match. And that's $2,000. So the total of this change order is $14,195.86.
That makes sense. So this brings us up to date and we can plan on fighting that in the future. That's the plan?
That's the plan. Spire, we'll keep a hold of this. Spire has not reached out to us with a bill yet. And when they do, that's when we'll start our fight process.
Oh, it looks great. I'll make a motion. Parking lot looks good.
And this has already been done, right?
The striping has not.
Striping is not, but all of that.
Striping has not, yes.
Is there a second? Can you introduce the gentleman that's?
Sure, it's Jacob Ross. So Jacob is with FSG. He's
Hi, Jacob.
Hey, how's it
closely
going?
with.
Thank you for coming. I think you may have heard that we had a pretty heated discussion about a $200,000 change order at the last meeting,
I
so we
heard.
asked you to be here. And obviously, you can see our concern when there's a change order that is significantly, hundreds of thousands of dollars over.
Yep, totally understand.
And there was a lot of questions that maybe you could help us answer last time, but you weren't asked to be here. That's not your fault.
14's manageable though.
Do what?
14,000.
Yeah, 14, that's compared to $200,000. And so our concern, and I'll just say it out loud, at least my concern, is that I've lived through one of these projects before that didn't go real well. And so it's critically important that, you know, we don't have $200,000 surprises. And I guess I get the argument that it would have happened either way, like can't control what's under the ground, but we get into questions about why wasn't the soil tested and those kind of things. And so if you've got anything to say on that, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, so what happened was we were planning on getting it tested. And what happened was we had this all-in-one project to start, and we decided that we would break out this parking lot just due to staging issues, and we knew we were gonna build on the back. And from what we heard from the school is the concern was all the high school kids parking back there, and makes more logistical sense to put them all up front, come through the main entrance. So we decided, you know, early on in the project to pull that parking lot package forward. To basically get that first phase knocked out. So when we do take up the whole back area, that the kids would have plenty of room to park up front. It seemed to be what the school wanted at the time. And that basically forced us to fast track that project. And by the time we had gotten the soils testing scheduled, coordinated, that was basically concurrent with when the bid was going out. So it was tested, but it was just not early enough. So just
But even with the
because
testing,
of
the testing didn't show the true concern, did it?
it wasn't great,
It
you
wasn't
know.
good. It would-
We could have maybe caught it and added some extra, you know, what's the right word? Retention or allowance money for it, you know. We didn't have a huge allowance on it. If we would have known, we would have said, okay, you gotta over dig, you know, 2 extra feet. This is pretty unprecedented. I've never seen it like this before. You guys just have really good farm dirt out here, I guess.
Was that dirt backfill from the retention pond that was there? Did that get dug out and put up on that area? It seems like that's what I remember happening.
That's a
From the
top-
first phase or
that's-
this?
Yeah,
this
so
Years
like
ago.
that, years ago when that retention
Yeah.
pond was built, I think they took that dirt and moved it up the
It
hill.
could have been, yeah, so it's
So-
already soft.
It makes me wonder is why excavators that didn't notice like, hey, this is all backfill.
Yeah.
Then we would have known they're gonna have to take that back out. I mean, we paid to move it and now we paid to move it back out.
Yeah.
Was our concern of like, how did someone not catch that?
Well, my concern on it is, in my life right now, I'm in the process of building a barn on a dam that I built next to a pond. And so I, just in the last month, had multiple concrete companies come and bid the platform. And every single one of them needed a soil test down to virgin soil and then feet down to it
Mhm.
before they would even bid it, because they're gonna guarantee that.
Yeah.
And then that's the same thing the county is expecting. So I don't understand how a company like CAT would bid this without knowing what they're bidding.
Well, none of them did. I mean, we.
Right, I mean,
Well,
like
yeah.
all three.
Yeah, I think they basically went off of our drawings, you know, to bid.
It's the nature of.
And, yeah, they didn't go check it themselves, essentially. And by the time we got the report, you know, they were already under contract and they had their price based on our bid documents.
That's, at some point, how do we hold someone accountable to their bid? It's not our fault they didn't come out and look. You know, that's where we're at. Like, how is it our fault that, well, we bid off a piece of paper, we didn't actually come out and look? And if they'd have came out and looked, they'd have said, hey, this is soil from this retention pond that got moved up the hill, and now we gotta remove it back out. That was our concern,
And
last
on that
meeting.
same question, because I'm a contractor, I do the same thing, so I put myself margin in case I had missed something. So, and it gets in a point where I've really missed something and it goes up above and beyond, I need to negotiate with the customer, but, I can't believe they're not taking, if the entire bill was put on us and they're not taking any fault in that, that seems not right.
That's where we were at the last month.
Well, and what's interesting too is the other two bids were exactly $200,000 more than what CAT even bid in the first place. So it's almost like the two other bids knew this was already part of it, and that's why we went with this bid, because it was the low bid, and the other two were right at the $800,000 mark that we saw.
And we're not
So
gonna.
there's no difference.
And when bids come across, we don't ask like, did you do soil samples? Are you gonna dig out 4 feet? We didn't ask those questions because we assumed they knew what was going on. That's the problem we had last meeting. So.
We have soil samples in the new parking lot already?
Yeah.
Not the new, the.
Yeah, it was all part of that
Parking
same,
lot?
it was part of that same thing. Same,
I think the thing is, what's done is done now, but, yeah, you gotta protect us in the future and not
Yeah.
have
No,
40% surprises.
It was a huge shock when we came in.
It
We
was,
just
yeah.
saw it the day of and we're like, whoa, what happened?
Maybe it's an appropriate time now, like, because we talked about what the board should get involved with on overages, and I think that got kind of taken, I don't want this job getting slowed down because there's a $14,000 overage. I think it's appropriate to talk about that too, so we can at least relieve some of the stress that Mindy's on communication, right, as a team.
Currently, the board policy is anything over $5,000, the board has to approve it. So, that
This new
seems pretty
construction,
low.
that's gonna happen all
That
the
seems
time.
pretty
Yeah,
low
it
to me.
seems super low for a
And-
project this big. That's
To me, I think we should set an allowance, and obviously we had one on the parking lot,
But just 50,000.
which,
Yeah.
you know, in my opinion, that allowance should set, hey, if we're working within that, then,
Right.
you know,
And
let's proceed, let's not slow down the
Yeah.
project. If we're gonna exceed that, that is something to slow down the project and say, let's evaluate.
Well, that
what's going
plumbing
on.
thing that ended up not being the thing, obviously, you could feel the stress through it, but,
The hard
I mean,
part.
that's just something that had to get done. I mean, I didn't know if we needed a special meeting because it was a.
So when was the
problem with
$5,000 approved? I mean, was it 10
been
years
right.
ago before?
It is board policy, yeah.
It's been board policy, yeah, it doesn't date it.
The other thing that kind of caught us off guard too was we built this $50,000 allowance in, and that was told to us for the price of asphalt. They mentioned nothing about, well, you might need to remove more soil. Like, none of that was brought to our attention at all, and that kind of raised a red flag for me.
Who said that, sorry?
The allowance that we were told was for, like, the price of asphalt can raise because
Concern.
fuel.
Oh, okay.
Asphalt.
So that-
Inflation costs are.
Yeah, that's what that allowance was
Yeah.
for, was asphalt.
Well, typically, we call it like an unforeseen circumstance
Yeah.
or, you know, unforeseen conditions that we come across. In my opinion, this is one of them. There's stuff going on with the high school that's unforeseen that we're coming
Yeah.
across. That's what we typically allot this allowance for.
Yeah.
But that's the first I'm hearing that it was just for asphalt inflation.
So, I mean, like our board policy says the $5,000, and Keith and I have had this conversation too, and I don't know how you put the dollar on without it coming up. What did you guys do in Shawnee, Tyler, you know?
Yeah, so, the allowance we call the allowances contingency, right? And so if we bid a project out, example, anything, but, you know, a $20 million elementary school, you'd figure the price tags off of a percentage value, and you go through and add $1 million. So you think so your PO for the whole project's 20, but we construction management, and so I would have 30 contractors that would total $20 million. But on top of that, we would have that $1 million worth of contingency. So that could go to one person, that could go to all 30, broken apart through all phases of the scopes. That was already approved, right? So when we passed it, we added it, that was built into the original PO that took to the board motion, and it was approved. So that was really $21 million. Now, it wasn't anybody's money, right? We wanted all $1 million back, but we never went back to the board to approve a change order during a construction project. Until you foresee over that $1 million. And then at that point, better have your ducks in a row to go through and explain what all you've done with all these change orders up to that point to increase it.
I think I would ask that you come up with some language that you suggest for us to maybe look at changing it the next board meeting.
I agree with what
Come
he's
up with the
saying.
language right here in this meeting about
Right.
one that's not on the agenda.
No, I can see just other schools are doing, that have just gone through projects.
The drawback to what you're saying though, because like what you're saying about, like, this was one phase of this, so it was such a small project, that's why this looks so bad because of what it is.
Right.
But when you do the contingency, it is that, $1 million blanket to help you. The drawback is, like, in that 1 million, like you're talking about, there are change orders that come through that could be $85,000. To me, that's the piece that the board wants to have some involvement in, because, like, if something comes in, it's like, okay, we have this $85,000 change order because we're gonna do something different with, like, the curbing in a parking lot. That's a big enough ticket item to bring to the board. Where that's where, like, on that $1 million blanket, that's where it's hard, because now that the $1 million is gone and you nickeled and dimed it, that's what's gonna hurt the board too, because then it's gonna be like, okay, well, what happened? And now you're talking about a whole bunch of different little things, where to me, the 5,000 is way too low.
But I also
But-
think what you're talking about is two different things, because there's contingency funds to address unknowns, and then there's scope changes.
Change.
Right.
And I think if there's scope changes, that
You bring that.
you bring that and say, hey, we
Right.
want to do something different there. At the end of the day, if we set a budget and
They
say,
typically, in that contingency world, the scope doesn't usually come to a school board. It's if it supersedes the 1%. That's why I'm saying that, like, having some type of language about $50,000 or something, that way we're at least in the know about bigger things, instead of just being like, hey, here's an extra $1 million, spend it.
Well, I mean,
Changes our normal
hey, we
policy.
could also see
What's
too,
that
if
called?
somebody is a repeat offender, right? Do they come to us with bids that are typically, you know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, if it's the same contractor, but I don't know,
How often, Mr. Clark, how often did you have it go over? I mean, go over that million out of your 20 or whatever.
Not very seldom.
Right.
Very seldom, right? And so that's almost like a no-no, right? We do
Right.
not want to go back to the board to ask for more money off this PO. That's never what you want to do. But I mean, to go through all the big things, I mean, there's several ways. A lot of it's communication, right, and updates, and it's weekly, like a Friday notes, right? And go through and update the board, here we're at, this is what's came up. We foresee this, which usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. We'll go through a couple of OAC meetings, we'll talk about these changes that are coming, what's happened, what we found, and hey, we continuously, 2 to 3 weeks, give like FYIs. This is coming, and yes, we approved it, we're gonna move on, it was $25,000, but we changed the curbing and for this increase, and it's, yeah, I mean, I think there's several ways to do it, to keep you updated on why and how we spend that money, other than just bringing it to it and potentially slowing the project down.
I think one of the other challenges too is, obviously, the $50,000 contingency, we would have been having this discussion, you know, I think that was the big thing, right? We
Right.
had a contingency. If the contingency was $200,000 and we spent $200,000, we would have been like, I think we would have been a little bit more okay with it.
Right.
But it's that unknown. But on top of that, what are we gonna, I think that's the other side of that. If it's, you know, we can look back and say, well, we should have done this earlier on in the bid process. There really wasn't another option at that point, whether it would have come and we would have got to say, yeah, go ahead and proceed. I don't know we would feel any better today, other than, you know, at the end of the day, it cost us.
Yeah, what could have happened too was when they started digging and said, whoa, this is gonna be way out of the budget, maybe we could have decided to shrink the parking lot and say, let's do a parking lot somewhere else, this land is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have talked about it at least. This came at us with, it's done, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's internal processes. We've had those discussions about being notified earlier and things like that. I think, do you know where we're at? You know, with this being $220,000-ish of overage, how much do we have left on the whole project? I mean, I don't know what that contingency is for the whole project
For the
Well, it
parking
was
lot
separate,
phase.
there were separate projects, so the parking lot only had 50,000 contingency.
Right.
And we
And then-
used it in that one fell swoop with
Yeah.
the
Right.
first change order.
For the new construction, I don't remember what we put in
The
there.
allowance contingency,
Mhm.
it's 300,000.
Right. So we've already eaten 150 of that, even though they're separate projects.
Yeah.
It's still all, as far as a bond issue,
Yeah.
it's all under one budget.
Do we still have 300?
As
Right.
far as your bond issue, yes, but
Yeah.
as far as the two different contracts and the contractors, it's separate.
Right.
That makes sense.
From us, there's a pool of money that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And so we only had 350, 300 on the one and 50 on the other, and we're already now
Halfway,
220
and
over.
we barely
total.
started construction.
That doesn't leave us a lot if we're trying to stay. I know, I see what you're saying, you're compartmentalizing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
but for us as a board, looking at a X million dollar budget,
Yeah.
we're so much over on this one, it can't help but eat into this one, right? I mean, I know that's not how the contract's written, and you still
Right,
have
yeah,
like
that's,
1,000, I
yeah.
get that, but.
What you
that's-
signed
that's
off
just-
on as far as the contracts goes with,
Right.
that's great, that's great.
I'll get some language, see what some other schools are doing, how they're doing
I
that.
think, yeah, we can't live with the 5,000, otherwise we're
We-
gonna have to have a board meeting every night, so.
Yeah.
Okay, currently I have a motion and a second. The approval of change order number 2 for the parking lot project. All in favor? That's everyone.
And just to give you guys an update on that, that'll basically close this project out. We've had the civil come out, he's done the punch list, a few follow-up things, clean up, and obviously the seed and sod, that'll be later this year. But basically, we'll write that off and we'll hold the 5% retainage, until it's all cleaned up. But there's probably one more payout for that.
And I'm sorry to ask again, but we brought this up last board meeting. We're getting ready to break ground to build onto
We
the
have,
gym.
yeah.
Right, so did we do soil testing there? That's all good. So is the back part of it, not the same issue as the front? I'm
It
assuming.
was all the same tests, yeah, and, as far as we've seen, they've started digging, they haven't come to us with anything that's out of the ordinary. And they've done actually some extra digging over at the ECC lot, just to double check and see how it's looking, so I haven't seen any concerns. I definitely haven't seen any quotes or anything come through yet, so. That's what I know at this
It's been
point.
there a long time, so if it's been filled, it was probably 40 years.
Right.
Yeah.
If we wanna double back, we can have we had Alpha Omega out at Geotech come out and look at this sump stuff in the boys' locker room. If we wanna pursue that, we can do it. We can look at testing again. If that make you feel better, but
Do we know what a worst case scenario is on this next project? Like, this is the area where I could have been wrong on my bid.
Well, so generally, when you're doing new construction and renovation, you usually are gonna have more unforeseens in renovation.
Right.
And that's where we'll get to, we've got some,
Yeah.
that water issue in the locker rooms, with some renovation things. Otherwise, once you come out of the ground, we're pretty good. Once we get our footings in and get that piece, new construction, usually you don't run into too many unforeseens.
Yeah.
So we're almost to that threshold
It's the
piece,
old,
once we
the
get
old
the
stuff
loft
that
on.
kept you, right?
The old stuff you just.
Renovations are so much harder than new
Yeah, when you
builds.
take out walls and ceilings and flooring, that's been there for 60
Right.
years, you don't know.
Lack of details, old drawings, right?
Yeah.
What's hidden, what's not.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
The potential of lack of detailed drawings on the renovations, you know.
Past, yeah.
Just because it says to do this, did they actually build it that way?
Right,
Yeah.
And I think we all understand that part of it. Renovations can always go bad, but
right.
this part just.
I think the only lesson here is when you've got bad news, you
You wanna
announce it
know now.
quickly.
You wanna know now.
announce it
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is bond add-on project.
Okay, so in this document, there's 3 different pieces, and I'm gonna work backwards from the bottom up. So if you wanna scroll down to page 28. So there's a couple different things that we've got, that we had asked as a district and as we got digging in. So these are kind of add-ons and change orders at our request, and information that we wanna talk about. So the first one is, Jacob, I'll let you talk to this. It's the light poles, base perimeter, and the additional fixtures for the additional parking lot. Since I'm going backwards, is that gonna make it confusing? I just realized that.
I don't know how much you guys have been briefed on this.
None.
No.
So can I just
Yeah.
start from the
Have at
beginning?
it.
Absolutely.
I'll stand up this time. So I don't wanna, point any fingers. I don't wanna defend it myself or anybody. I just kinda wanna give you guys the facts on the timeline of what happened here. So basically, we started the design fall last year. The civil engineer was working off a report that the city provided, that referenced 2020 codes and, which is some civil engineering methodology. By the way, I'm a mechanical engineer and not a civil engineer, just heads up, so I'm doing my best here with this stuff. So we were working off a 2020 report. So we went ahead, designed off of that design criteria. We had 2 retention basins, 1 open pit detention, which was, your typical storm retention like you've got up front. And that was on the north side of the track, near the football field. The ECC lot, this new designed parking lot up there, was an underground retention basin. So that's what we designed, that's what we bid, that's what we got pricing for from all these contractors. So about the time we were awarding contracts in April, it was brought to our attention that let me back up even further. We went this route in the beginning because we were trying to be budget conscious. We knew that these underground retentions cost a lot of money. So that's kind of where we started, and it was brought to our attention, near bid time, that there was erosion issues near the track, and
By us.
yes,
We brought
by
it
the
up.
school district.
Jeff
You know,
had kind of wanted to do the project on his own, and we knew that there was additional, after we were getting those bids in, we knew there was additional bond money, and he said we probably should address the erosion issue at the football field.
And we discussed this option early on, and we took it out and we went back to our original basis of design. Basically, because we were trying to be budget conscious, we thought we were gonna be high, turns out we weren't. So we move forward, this happens, we talked to Jeff, we said, not pointing fingers, I said, Jeff, I'm just talking off the ledge here, we're doing this whole design, we're doing this new retention, we've got retaining wall, we've got all this stuff in the project. I would hate for you guys to come in after the fact, rip it out, and start over. It just didn't make sense. So I kind of talked him off the ledge, said, we'll do it, we'll look into it, we'll redesign it, for no cost essentially. So that's what we did. So that converted the open storm pit, storm retention, to the underground storm half pipes, storm drainage subsurface system. Which was a change, that's a little more costly. But in turn, you got a few more parking spaces out of it, and it hopefully alleviates the erosion problem. So then we pushed this new design through permitting through the city, and as part of their process, they get all this stormwater calculations, drawings reviewed by a third party. They use Own Engineering, which I'm not sure where they're based out of, but we're using them on another project. So they're this third party consultant. They provided comments saying that they needed to use a more stringent design criteria. So this goes back to the 2020 report we were basing everything off of. So they have a more stringent design criteria, which essentially makes you have way more stormwater retention than we expected or originally designed. So basically, they went from these pretty typical half pipes to a more octagonal shape. I don't know, Brian can allude more to this as far as cost, and it's a better system. It just holds more water essentially. And that design, once we push it through the city, they approved it. So that's kind of where we're at. And then this is twofold, because then through the Board of Alderman meetings, city council meetings, the mayor said, you know, I would hate for you guys to lose those trees, you know, the tree line, the privacy you got on the east side there. So that was a change on top of that. So we reworked the parking lot, we reworked the drive lanes, so that changed layouts. It actually net add of asphalt, so we had more stormwater. We had to redo the calculations again, added some more storage, and that's kind of where we landed. We got pricing from Fogel, and we can go through that. And that also, so getting back to your original point, the lights. So with this new layout change, added parking spaces, we added, I think, 8 light fixtures. So 8 light fixtures additional, you know, wiring for all that. That's where that 50,000, whatever it is, comes in. There's also the bigger chunk, the 747. And
Yeah, so
then-
that's one of the change orders. The other one is the locker room
that's the ad for the water heater, probably.
for the water heater. So we got in there, took a picture, realized the
So-
water heater was ancient.
Yeah. And going back to the original design, we were told, don't touch the water heaters. They've been there for this long, they're working fine, nobody showers anymore. We omitted it from the original design, so. We then found out last AOC meeting, we wanted to add it, so here we are.
Yeah, so that's adding, the soffit in the weight room, the door, the water
Storage
heater.
element, yep.
The old weight room,
Hmm.
in the old weight room.
Yeah,
Or in the-
it's along that wall in the gym. We went in and looked in one of our first meetings, Tyler was here, and we had front charts, and we had Adam looking at, so there's all those closets and those doors, one's in a mechanical room, and they were gonna go, they connected to the locker room, where we were closing that off, and we wanted to take a wall out in between and make it a bigger storage area. So it is nice, and it will be great space, but then we needed, and there's that one door there, we needed to be a double door, so we can get in, scoreboards and be able to store, those
Scoreboard,
kinds.
lifts, ball
Yeah.
racks, everything.
We'll put our
available.
big lift in there, so we need a double door, so that's the double door. The soffit in the weight room is the one, it's that.
That's not even a price, that's,
Okay.
it was,
And then
that was listed, but there was no price change for that, actually.
Okay. And then the sump pump and the concrete for the sump pump in the girls' locker room. Is that one. And then the whole entire project of the retention base, which is the 747,000.
So, yeah, essentially going back to what we talked about earlier, you know, contingency versus added scope.
Change order.
These
No, add-on.
are scope changes in our opinion.
So.
That's why we're not touching the allowance as part of any of those 3 line items, not touching the 300,000. It's a scope change.
So in our,
So bad.
well,
There's so many pieces of this, because it goes back to not even talking to the city about the trees. That's what changed a lot of this. And now it's getting into this because we didn't do the proper plans of the retention, and now it's all of this, and like,
Well, I guess that would be my
question
question is, we based off 2020 standards, so did the standard change? Did they release a new standard that we're basing off of now?
It was unclear from the city.
No,
We
this
did what
is
the
a
city was gonna
cluster.
require, and they did this third-party
Where we were last.
Oh,
analysis
it's so
essentially,
bad.
and they have the say to say, no, you have to go to
this is
this
an
new,
addition.
more strict design criteria. I asked the civil engineer
So
this
if we
today, I
don't do
said,
this,
what did you design off of and why? And it was the 2020 report from the city.
the city has to approve this. Like, this is like a building permit, like, you can't not do this.
Well, so essentially, our issue is, I mean, essentially, this wasn't ever part of that scope to totally do, and to fill it in and to do.
But isn't this happening because we're changing the whole scope of the asphalt now because of that, and we're not taking
No.
the trees out?
No,
That's not true?
no.
I thought that's what
There's
you
two,
said.
there's different levels,
No,
so
it built.
it's.
In other words, if I understood correctly, it started with looking at the erosion,
Right.
and then that built to retention, and then as we're doing that, we can gain some parking spaces.
So
and
since we can gain
Since
those
the city got
parking
involved, the
spaces-
city went, we want you to keep the trees, and that caused the.
Correct.
So we were
So
originally.
it built upon itself, but it's
There's-
not directly
Cost
responsible.
$700,000.
And
No,
I don't mean to throw any shade at
No.
the city, but
No.
why, is there some ordinance that
we
we
don't
have
wanna
to keep
get
the
into
trees?
that.
no,
That's true.
no, so the original design had a drive go behind the weight room and the wrestling room, and it had all these parking spots. Well, once we were looking into this and we could recoup those parking spots over this space, we didn't have to have them back there, which means we didn't have to remove that row of trees.
Which would have been asphalt also.
Yeah, so it just traded what we were doing if we were doing it all at one time. So it's not this isn't an oversight change order, this is a, hey, we came and said we were gonna do this project on our own, we were having some erosion here, and it's a risk, it's like Tyler said, it's a risk. Is that erosion gonna happen in 15 years, or gonna happen in 15 months, or is it gonna happen in 15 days? We don't know, but we do have concerns there with the credibility of the track. And so because we have the additional bond money, and we're already needing to tie into that ditch, this is the right time to do it the right way to prevent the erosion to happen with the additional funds we have. So that's what we're bringing at this point.
You also gain parking spots. I know there's a lot of concern with football games, sporting events. This will help with getting parking spots closer to the stadium.
Can we just park in the grass though?
We can, but, I mean, the hill's ugly, it's hard to maintain, it's hard to maintenance, I mean, but ultimately, we need to tie in the drainage, but we are concerned, since they built up that hill with the track, there's just some concerns in years to come with erosion, so I feel like it's responsible to try to
The hard
take care
part
of it
is
at this
that,
point
like,
with the
the way
extra
the
funds.
story's being told, that nobody ever went to the city. The city was the one that actually found out later that we were tearing these trees out before we were ready to tear the trees down, and that's when it found out. Because they went to go tear the trees down, like I know they did. And that's when we found out it was not ever talked to the city, and then we found out late. And that
That's not
they're,
true.
okay. This is a cluster. It's not
So
good.
Jimmy's point is there, if this is a no vote, it's just a no, there's no recourse from the city?
I don't know that answer.
You know, the city's, to be clear, the city's not requiring us to do any of this, are they? I mean, they're only getting involved because we're gonna do something. It's like remodeling, like you don't have to have a permit until you go to remodel them, then you have to have a permit, right?
Yeah, we had to go through the city for permitting.
Right.
Gotcha.
But they're not
And
required, they're not required that
But
we
if
do
we
any of
don't do
this.
this, how many
They're
parking
just, they
spaces
just
do we
have
lose?
oversight because we wanna do it.
That's what we need to figure out, like, if this is gonna cost us $700 and whatever thousand, how many parking spaces are we getting
I
because
think
of
the main
this?
question is if we say yes, what pool of cash is left for?
That's the next,
No.
so, you do, no, we
Right,
do.
I mean-
Yeah,
No,
good
we've,
question.
yeah, $3 million. So if you look at the second part of that link,
Robot vacuum.
there is,
Which I'm kind of on. That's all I see now when I go into Quick Trip. Do you guys do like
current,
those?
if, on action item D, if you click the second part, current finances of the bond. So you'll see there's several tabs. First tab is our summary. It shows you that revenue, we have $25.9 million is what we received in because we did a $23.5 million bond, but we sold them at premium rates. And so we have $25.9 million is what we brought in. Expenditures to date is $5.5 million. Predicted expenditures to come is $17.725 million, leaving $2,674,000 left for us to do. So your tabs at the bottom, predicted cost to come, which I've got that on here, is some of the fees that we have, the flooring that we're still paying, the cafeteria, the connection to the cafeteria project, equipment for new instruction, the maintenance shed, and the change order that's in part of here with those lights and the sump pump in the door and all of that. The third tab is additional projects to consider. This is where our team as a district has been working with FSG and working with our district personnel to say, we have more bond funds, what are additional projects we wanna do? And so we've talked about, wrestling building renovation, visitor restroom renovation at the football field, and then we are getting some quotes on, because we've gotta move shot put, because of the parking lot, so renovating the shot put throwing area. So if we did, right now, we've got earmarked pricing on $847,000. If we click that over to the summary and we took that out of the 2.6, we still 1.8 million left over. That we would still have funds to then, are we gonna renovate the wrestling room? Are we going to renovate the rest of the bathrooms out? This big retention issue / parking is because we were like, we've got $3 million left over. This is the time, we've got the funds. We already have to tie in, we're digging, we're removing soil, we're excavating, we're already down there doing some work. This is a good time to tie everything together. At this point, we have the funds, rather than in 5-10 years, if erosion continues to be worse, do we come back and do it then? We can come back and do it then. This could be earmarked for the next project. If we want another bond project in 5-7 years, we could earmark this as a priority. We can do that. But my recommendation is they're already down in there, and we're already gonna be doing some work in that area. I'd like to take care of it now before there's any erosion issues. We have the funds left in our bond. If we do that, we still have $1.8 million to determine for additional projects to come.
How come on your spreadsheet it still shows CAT for $660,000, there's not an additional $200,000 for the?
That's included in there, because we've already paid them some.
So
It's not being done by
is the
question.
hill eroding?
That's what they said.
It's starting,
So
there's
how
signs that
is
it's starting
the
to.
drainage ditch gonna fix the hill eroding?
That's-
Because, I mean, you're just putting pipe in instead of a ditch. How's that gonna fix the hill?
That's a good question.
Are we still gonna have erosion issues?
There's less hill, I believe, because you're building up to it instead of it all coming in both sides.
That's the drop off.
So it's added pavement,
All
covering
the
covering
way
the
to
ditch
the
is like this, and you're covering over it.
Okay.
So
was
it shores
there-
up. It shores up.
I guess I'm
Yeah.
missing the piece about, there was an original design or an original bid that was put out, and then when the city got involved, the civil engineer changed that scope, correct?
Correct.
So what were you originally proposing for a cost there, and what did obviously we know what the change was. I guess.
How much did a third-party engineer add by their?
Yeah,
report?
exactly.
Yeah,
As far as the cost goes,
Roughly.
because we were still gonna go to
50
the
grand,
hill,
100 grand.
now the pipe's bigger, why is it so much more?
well, the biggest cost, and we've gone through this line by line with Fogel, is these fancier, I don't know what they're called.
Brian, this is Brian, I'm gonna introduce
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah.
This is Brian, is it Buser? Boozer. Brian Boozer, Fogel Anderson, and so he might be able to talk to us and answer some of those questions as well.
Yeah, I can't speak to some of the design issues, of course, but if you guys have any questions on the pricing, I'm more than happy to discuss any of it. I understand it's a big number, I understand the sticker shock, but we were very open book when we prepared the numbers and presented them to the school, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
But to summarize, I think this new retainage system that's not any longer the half dome, it's more of an octagonal shape, I think. Those are $600 and some thousand. That's the majority of the 700 grand. It's that change from those to this. And we're not, it's changing the ECC lot, which was the half domes, to this, and it's also adding a large square foot area under the parking lot at the high school lot. So it's the addition of that material, which is the big chunk of it, 600 plus thousand.
Could we not keep the ditch and like rip wrap up the hill a little bit?
Well, and I think what I'm hearing is that the ditch is only part of that, right? So this is multiple scopes or multiple parts of the project that we're addressing.
It's,
Right.
it's domino effect.
Yeah, so, but I think it goes back to, obviously, the city said this is the standard you need to, if we based it off of the 2020 standard, and now the city hires a civil engineer, I mean, we do this all the time in our business, you bring in an engineer, yeah, every engineer has a different opinion, so is that set in stone? Yeah, can we go back to the city and say?
I asked that, it's basically, what they said goes at this point. This is what they approved, so they brought those comments to us, we had to redesign it to get the permit, And then the city said, okay, here's your drawings, here, they reviewed all the new stormwater calcs, they signed off on it. They said, okay, you can move forward with that design. So it comes down to that third party own engineering saying you have to use the strict standards. Which is,
I would
was a shock to
love
us.
to know the basis of this, of that third party and why the original design wasn't good enough. I mean, I think
I mean,
that's.
I'm being a little facetious here, but my experience with spec engineers is they have to prove their value by changing things. I mean,
Could be.
maybe that's not a fair argument, but I've met plenty of engineers that, I mean, they're not gonna, they've gotta prove they did something, right? And so, it's not that it's not a valid improvement, it just wasn't a necessary improvement, right? I think there's two things I have concern with. We're going from a hill sliding to replacing, and I get we're probably fixing this for the next 50 years, right? I think if we're doing this, we're probably fixing this for good.
That's not what I'm hearing.
Do it.
They're hoping it is. I'm hearing that they're gonna raise the level. No one's talking about how it's gonna fix the hill. That they're just hoping because now the level's higher, that they're hoping it's gonna stop sliding.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what we're hearing,
yes,
right?
yeah, I get, and I've been out
I don't
there.
think it's a
I've been
fix.
out there, I've seen it. I mean, I guess I really wasn't looking for, I'm not a soil expert by any
Right.
stretch. But basically, we're gonna build it up and make that an underwater or an underground retention area, which raises it up, makes the hill not as big, I get that. But we're not actually addressing the hill dropping. None of this 700.
I'd have to go back and look at the civil
Yeah.
drawings. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're resodding it or what,
Yeah.
off the top of my head.
I mean, resodding is a few $1,000s. I mean, that's not. I mean, that's. It feels a little bit like we're buying a house when we need a hotel room. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
How many parking spots are we gaining?
Do you have any idea how many parking
It's
spots?
15 to 20 more with this, but it's moving it basically shifts everything from the side, east side drive lane, more south toward the main parking lot area by the stadium.
I think
There is still some parking up there on the drive lane where there's not trees, there was some opening gaps, you know, we had the steel structure stored over there for a while. So there's still some parking up there, but a lot of it shifts.
What's the, how does the cost change or the project change if we said like, hey, let's revisit this as this project progresses and we get further along and we know we're not gonna uncover a bunch of other uncertainties?
I mentioned, yeah, we talked about that.
You mean putting this on pause now?
Yeah.
I think part of the, and I won't speak for you, part of the issue is they're already doing it right now, right? Now's the
No,
time to buy it.
they broke ground back there, but they have not,
Okay.
we can't move forward, you know, until you sign off on this, as far as this design change goes. But the city has approved this plan, so this is what they got with the permit and the conform documents and everything, and this is what they signed off of. So if we have to revert back, it opens a whole can of worms, and I'm not just saying this, we would have to take 3 steps backwards, go back to our original design. It's still gonna be a cost change because they're gonna stick to this more stringent design criteria. So we have to change the underwater retention at the ECC lot regardless. So there's money coming back for that, no matter what, because they're already holding us to the fire on that. So, but
Do we know
essentially,
what that is?
we would have to redesign
Are we able to
again.
answer what that is?
I don't have a specific breakout
Okay.
for just the retention structure of the ECC area. I did approximate it for you guys, but yeah, to Jacob's point, if that work is gonna happen over there, it has to be done to this standard that they're holding.
So, I
So
mean.
it's either we do it or we don't. And if we don't do it, we've got some drainage we have to have, so how do we go back and?
If we don't do it, we have to go back, say we keep the open pit retention, we have to provide the city more stormwater calcs, start the process over with the original pavement. We'll have to do the same thing for the ECC lot, and still go with probably go with this higher end, more capacity because of the strict design criteria in that instance. Because you're just adding parking lot over there, there's no existing retention. Which, you know, in turn, we did all this the first time, we know without any extra engineering fees, consulting fees, so.
That's my main holdup is it seems like we are having an issue with the city. I think we should table it until we figure out what's going on.
Well, and it's,
Our partnership with them.
the part by the ECC was part of the original scope. And the only thing that's really changed is the fact that they've increased the requirements for the stormwater retaining.
It was always in scope, yeah.
Right, so that part is the scope changing because they changed the requirements, and then the field and the drainage and all that extra stuff, that's kind of different, but we lumped it into one thing, right? Am I understand that correctly?
It's just snowball.
Yeah.
So, question, you mentioned permit. So if we do table this, and they've approved those plans, what does it do to us on a schedule on a back end once, at this stopping point?
Well, that's
So we
what-
press pause, what did the permit approve for which projects right now that we can continue to work on, or what
I
stops?
think we need to have
That's a good question.
Where the line is delineation, I don't know, but it would definitely cause some delays. We would have to go back, we would have to start the process over, and luckily, the city has been great to work with on our end. I mean, they've pushed through our permits faster than they typically do, and Brian can attest to this too. They've helped us out. They've been really good to work with, but we would have to resubmit plans, and we would have to do probably 40 hours of engineering on the civil end to redo this again after he's already done that.
We can't just
I mean,
revert
it
back,
could-
can we not
but as far
revert
as
back to
the
the original
gym-
design?
We can, but the city has
They
approved,
didn't
the
approve
city
that.
has approved this, they haven't approved the original one. So even,
So
we
they
can
change
revert
it.
back, but it's still a change in design because of the strict criteria from the third party.
Right.
So,
I guess my question from an engineering aspect is why didn't we leave? I get the part over here by the ECC, they caused us to change it because of their requirements. Why is that lumped in with the stuff over by the field? Like, why are we presenting this as one as opposed to, hey, we could approve that at a slightly higher rate because the permitting forced us to. But this is separate over here and we can decide to deal with that later.
Yeah, it came down to, this is what we thought the school wanted, and it's why we designed it, after the fact, essentially.
Well, luckily, they're easy to work with, and you can push it through quick.
Yeah, I don't.
I remember talking about, the field, the ditch, and it's gonna be some easy little deal, we'll fix it
Right.
now, and it's gonna be
Right.
super cheap, and
And
now
I mean,
we're,
our concern was, we considered doing it on our own. Like, it
Yeah.
was one that we thought we can use bond funds, but do this project on our own, but our concern was
Yeah.
the permitting piece. And we knew that it was gonna take a civil engineer, and that was just a lot for
Yeah.
myself and Tyler coming on to do. And that's why we thought we might as well utilize FSG and put this into the scope and get some numbers on what this is gonna be.
so we
Not
have like
thinking
that
it's gonna be
$3 million cushion, and we're eating $1 million up right
Yeah,
now,
almost a third.
with 2 parking lots,
Yeah.
and we barely started construction. That's what scares me.
Well, I wonder why the last maintenance guy thought he could do it, but the new guy who's like 3 times the price, it's gonna be difficult for him. I guess, you guys not thinking the same thing?
What?
Oh, Jeff
No.
Lester can do everything.
No.
I mean, he
It
stood
was
here
a-
and said that we could do it ourselves. I can do it myself.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
amount of things that guy said he could do
Yeah.
himself,
Fine.
I don't think that's a fair comparison at all.
So I don't necessarily want to speak out of turn, but, I do want to provide my opinion on tabling it, going back to the city, seeing what can we pare back, right? So the stormwater detention systems, it's all a product of surface area runoff. The more surface area you have, the bigger they have to be. Some of the site changes that we're making with the asphalt, more asphalt, changing the site pavement plan that was approved already. It may be grandfathered as it is now, but if we're adding additional hard surface, that's gonna cause additional runoff. I do wanna say, I think there's a very real chance that the city may look at it and say, hey, you're changing this enough, you're no longer grandfathered. They may require you guys to do something anyway. I don't know the likelihood of that. I've been through this enough times to know that when you're grandfathered, you're grandfathered. You go messing with it, there's a very real likelihood that they're gonna make you come up to the current standard, which is part of what we're seeing now. So, just wanna throw that out.
No, I get that, I get, the part I'm having trouble with is, I feel like this should have been presented as 2 separate things. The ECC piece, which was already part of it,
Yeah.
and, okay, hey, here's the necessary changes, this is what the city's engineers are making us do, here's the change in the scope or the overage or whatever it is. And then this is a totally separate thing that wasn't part of our original scope. And the fact that they're lumped together, now you're putting us in kind of a spot where we try to, like, if we change it now, we're gonna screw this other part up, but they should have been two separate items.
Sounds like.
To add on to that, that's like my main
And
issue here.
I've got,
There's questions to be asked that are legitimate, but now somehow, if we don't make that decision right now,
Yeah.
something's set back.
Yeah.
That goes back to our field light thing.
So if we keep the ditch, we might have to cancel the parking lot, basically, is what it sounds like.
we just might delay it, right?
Yeah.
DCC.
We
said.
can certainly break it out like you're saying.
Yeah.
It's
I think
gonna take some work and some time, but
Yeah.
we can
I mean, I
say,
feel like
hey,
that's
take
how
this,
it
it's like an
probably should have been
alternate.
presented in the first, I wince a little bit to bring this up even, but I'm, no offense, I know you're from Vogel Anderson, but the fact that this is a $700,000 bill that's not being bid out. It's not part of the original scope, and so we have a $700,000 add-on that only one person is getting the bid. And I don't know, I mean, if that's, is that normal? Does that make sense?
I'd love to speak to that.
Sure.
If you don't mind. So, it's a big number, okay, I understand that. So when we sent this out to bid, right, we asked everybody to look at it, you're working with the lowest qualified contractor for each of these trades, okay? Many of these, we got 7, 8, 9 bids, so you're already working with the guy who was the most competitive at the time of bid. So our goal, when we price change orders, is to hold them to that same competitive standard that they had at bid time, all right? So the biggest number here, guys, is from our site utility contractor, who's also our excavation guy, okay? Combo scope together, he was most competitive on both of those scopes. So we've got, I asked him to present his quote on the ASI in the same format as his original bid, okay? So we were able to go line item by line item, okay? If the ASI asked him to add a curb inlet, he's charging me the same price for that curb inlet now as he did at bid time. If it takes away 100 foot of pipe, same thing, it's all coming back out at the same unit rates, okay? So line by line, we were able to go through and see that as far as I can tell, he's being incredibly fair, all right? He provided, probably the biggest line item in his proposal was the cost of the detention structures themselves. He provided material backup from his vendor that he's purchasing that from. So, you know, I understand the overall cost, I get the sticker shock, but I do want to stand up for ourselves and our subcontractors in saying that I think they're being very fair. And I'd like to think that we're holding them to the same standard now as we did on bid day when it was a competitive situation, so.
Yep. We did look at that, we looked at it with them, we looked at it here in the OAC meeting, we talked about it. He's giving you the credit back, I don't know if it's 100%, but he's giving you a credit back for the canned retention system, I should say, from the ECC, so you can see all of it in the backup documents. And it's a local contractor, so, you know, you go to bid it out,
Yeah.
you could risk losing him, things like that. I think it's just a mess, but I understand your point.
I've got a question.
It's the local contractor that we just had a $220,000 change order.
Different guy.
No, it's different, it's different guys.
Oh, okay.
This is
Okay, sorry, my
a
bad.
different.
My bad.
Does the high school portion of this add more drain water or not? Or is it just the primary parking lot?
With the change, with this.
So
this
like, just
quote,
say the building we're doing in the high school, everything we're doing, does it require more drain water?
Then you currently have, yes.
It does.
Yeah, because we're expanding the pavement, we're bringing a drive lane behind the wrestling building. There's more impervious surface, what
Okay.
they call it.
But that was part of the original scope, though.
But, correct.
Right.
How does it create more water? Water's coming down, what is the asphalt currently absorbing it?
No, so
Because
we're,
it doesn't absorb it.
Yeah.
It
That's
is
what I
some
mean,
engineering
so-
piece of it.
but we're also moving the building over, and I know we're adding more pavement, so there's gotta be more place for water to go. But would that require us to redo the ditch just with that?
No.
So the roof drains from the building are going in the same location.
Okay. Yeah.
It's left-hand, right-hand.
So that was gonna
I
require
think to answer
something.
your question, my understanding is no, we would not have to do anything with that current retention spot north of the field.
There was, in the original design, there was the retaining wall, there was
Yeah.
lots of stuff that was
There
changing in that
was stuff around there
area.
that's been deducted out. There was some a retaining wall, partial retaining wall over there, and there was,
Well, yeah, so were we gonna have to change the ditch anyways, is my question.
we were doing work to the ditch, yes.
Okay.
But that's included in the original scope? Or
Yes.
not? Okay.
Yes.
So if we pause this and come back in 6 months, a year, whatever, I mean, the cost is probably gonna increase at that point as well,
Sure.
right?
I mean, yeah, we should, I.
If that'd be assumed, yeah.
I can almost agree, yes.
Yeah.
And nobody's trying to take advantage of anybody here, I promise you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we dug into, we did our due diligence on our end. Outside of them, meeting with them, we did all of it, so. We trust that, we feel confident with their quote, that their numbers. We have no reason not to trust Vogel Anderson at this point.
Yeah, and I have a question. I'm back to Keith, what you said of, I feel like this is two different, I think we need
I don't
these
love that it's lumped together.
presented in two different, I mean, what would that take to get these broke out into two different scopes?
I'd need a week, probably, with our guys to go back.
I mean, because there's no redesign if we leave the ECC portion
I
up
think-
to their
I
spec,
think
that's
that-
not a redesign.
Right.
We're just basically taking this off the table. So they,
But we would in turn have to redesign some, there would definitely be some changes on our drawings for the open retention area. by the
But I
church.
think that, to me, that's minimal.
That would be-
In the whole scope. I think if we can break this out and say, all right, this project over here costs $500,000, and this ECC project, which we have to basically do, costs $150,000, then we can make a better
Yeah.
decision and say, yeah, we're not gonna spend this, go back and do your redesign.
Mhm.
But I think right now, all we're asking for is
Split the price.
split this up so we can understand what we're.
this is what we absolutely have to do. We gotta take
Yeah.
care of the ECC. They changed the rules on us. It is what it is. This is the extra
Yeah.
cost associated with that.
Then it comes down to how do we handle it with the city? So do we get prices? Do we pause the project? Do we get the prices from whoever? Present it to you guys, then stamp, sign approval, push it to the city.
Right.
We have to get them to approve it essentially. So there's
Is it
multiple
unfair to ask
levels.
The city just accept our engineer report, not theirs?
They won't do it because they don't have the expertise, so they
Yeah.
default to the third party. It's what they're always gonna do.
That's why you have to have
It's
that third
easier and
party.
it protects their liability probably also.
And I asked if there was anything, I asked our architect, civil, can we push back on this own engineering? Can we push back?
Yeah.
And then it gets into
Higher force.
super sticky with setting a precedent. Well, the school did it. The school is able to push back, that kind of deal.
Right.
So the community hears about that, the commercial building down the street says, oh, you gave an exception to the school, it just gets
I'm
messy.
just saying, could we hire a fourth? I mean, how much would that cost?
I just, yeah, like I said, I'll just reiterate, I see them as two separate things, and I wish they'd have been presented that way, because it would've been, it's easy to present the ECC as, hey, they forced us to change these things, let's approve that, and then we could have a discussion separately about the retainage and whatever that part of the bill was, $600,000. Because, I mean, the part for us, as people looking over this, is when I look at, hey, here's the extra things we'd like to do if we have extra money. $600,000 or $700,000 goes a long way towards
Yes.
visitor restrooms or shot discus throwing area, wrestling room, building renovations. I mean, and if we spend it all, we go, oh, there's a nice parking lot with 15 extra spaces. What would that cost you? $700,000. And I know that's not all it is, but that's right.
And that can be relieved by parking in the grass like we did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You guys park in that retention area?
No.
No, not in that grass.
That's the worst parking, and it's a long walk to the entrance,
Up the hill
So,
too.
I mean.
to the west of the field.
What does this do in the scope of the project with delay? Because I know we're on a time, we want the gym, we want the auxiliary to be done by the start of school year next year. We already know we're not gonna have locker rooms to start the school year this year.
Yeah.
So, what does,
So, effectively, guys, this ASI is so comprehensive, it basically touches the entire site. Until we decide one way or the other, I really can do zero site work. We can proceed with the building, we can proceed with the locker rooms, but it's big enough that I can't really do much of anything without a decision one way or the other.
Is
And so
that-
And we're-
what that means, though, is, work that could be getting done now is potentially getting done in wintertime, you know, when we have winter conditions and we've got to blanket concrete, we've got to buy hot water for the concrete, things like that. So there are cost implications there. And if it's delayed long enough and it pushes the site work out to the point where now Fogel Anderson has to be on site longer, then I've got additional time for staff, myself, I've got a trailer that's here longer. So we have additional general conditions that go into it. Right now, I'm not charging you anything, 0 for additional general conditions on this, under the assumption that we would get an approval in a timely manner and be able to get going on it sooner than later. So there's potential for all sorts of things, the longer we have to go.
What does the ditch look like if we don't do the enclosed water
This is
system?
how this is normal school business.
Similar to what it is now. I have to go back and look exactly how far we encroach on it with the original design. I
Will it
can't tell
get
you. off the top of
deeper,
my head.
wider?
I can't tell you. off the top of my head.
Does a week impact, let's just say, does a week impact kind of the critical path here?
As far as the site, no.
Yeah.
A week's not. We've been, I mean, frankly, we've been delayed 2 months on this already.
Yeah.
It's spinning our wheels for 2
So,
months.
no, an additional week is not gonna be. a-
Personally, I feel more comfortable just knowing what that breakdown is before we vote
I
on
mean,
this.
can we split it out and vote for the ECC? I mean, how do we do it to give you the ability to move forward with the ECC portion that's already part of the original scope? And I know rework, right, you said reapprovals and all that stuff, and then set aside, I mean, I'm sensing, from reading the room here, seems to be, nobody seems to be super comfortable with the $700,000 to put in a retention area in an area that we don't even know whether it's gonna actually hold up, which is what originally caused the whole discussion in the first place.
Well, we also have, I mean,
Mr. Klopp, sorry,
Oh.
you've been kind of silent. I mean, any thoughts?
No, I mean, when we initially did talk about it, like, is this a good discussion topic to go and get the feel and see how we wanna potentially table the money or proceed with it? But I mean, everybody's had a good point. I mean, it's, if we table it, if it goes 6 months to a year, will it increase 3 to 5%
Sure.
minimum? Of course.
Yeah, of course. I
You
think
you know,
we get
and
that,
it's, does it have the potential to affect the permitting and, you know, site work here? Yes, but, and is it a big thing to swallow this time? Again, yes.
Yeah.
And so it's not an easy one to sit here and say, let's go this. I think we had this discussion on it.
I don't think, at
And
least
go.
I personally can say, I don't see the cost benefit paying out. Like, that's the part that I'm struggling with. That amount of money for something we think may happen sort of someday, at some point, whether it's 15 months or 15 years. And yeah, it's gonna go up. I mean, if I buy a car now, it's gonna be less expensive than if I buy a car in 5 years. I get that. That's whatever. That's normal. So how do we?
how do we, I mean, what happens if we say we don't wanna do anything with that retention? Where does that put us?
At the track.
So that puts us, yeah, in the north field, so that puts us going back, redesign, that's what you were saying, would put us to a redesign to go
Well,
back.
like we talked, we could price it separately. We could do we know we have to do the ECC lot, right?
Right.
So we can break that portion out of the 747. And then we'd have to revert back 2 or 3 iterations of design. Redesign slightly because of the different type of retention system. And then, yeah, we would still have to push that to Fogel Anderson because that would be a change from the original regardless. But it would be cheaper. It would be, or split up.
But but we have to go back to
It'd
the
be-
city to get them to approve that.
Because it's a change in design, conform documents, permit set, all that. Which we can work with the city for that, you know, they've pushed through quick when we've asked them to, so it's just another layer we have to go through.
Generally, I think the city's treated us pretty well and has worked with us.
So
Worked with us a lot of
with
stuff.
riprap, I get the, big rock, would
Yep.
that be,
It could be, I was told, again.
yeah. What
That
do you
was
guys
a
think?
non-
Riprap's just big
Right,
rock.
yeah, we've got,
What's everyone's thought on that?
Can I- Is there, I'm not sure where all this water goes when it leaves the site. Is this causing issues
East.
elsewhere?
no.
This is our old
issues
maintenance
elsewhere.
guy saying it looks like it's sloughing off, and I think it's gonna collapse someday. That's how it's all started.
He also doesn't like riprap.
Yeah, so I don't, it's,
Now, granted, there is and I'm not a soil expert,
Right.
you know, but I mean, there
There is some
are, the
rock in
bank, there's large sections that you can see that has moved.
Right.
There's a small retaining wall around a concrete slab that I think used to be flagpoles and a scoreboard potentially years ago, and that's dropped. Now, is that from the bank or is that back footings on it? I don't know.
Sure.
But that's part of the issues of the conversations from the past of what's been brought to light on this here.
So then-
And it's a horrible piece to maintain.
Yeah.
And so if you brought it up, change the slope. But I don't think that
I don't
the
think we're having this
intent was to
conversation, or
do.
this argument if it's $100,000 add-on.
Yeah.
The fact that it's a $700,000 add-on is what, it's all heartburn. So in looking at this, is there a way for me to identify how much how to separate out roughly of this $700,000, $747,000 is
ECC.
just the ECC portion?
It would be pretty difficult even for me, sitting here in front of you today to do that. You know, it was designed as one change and it was priced as one change. So, you know, I can pick and piece out a few handful of line items, but it wasn't just the change of the structure over there. You know, there was also curb inlets and piping and some other things to accommodate the differences in the design. So I really wish that I could just pop that number out for you guys, but I'm sorry.
I just,
So it sounds like if we can separate that out, we need to reconvene and,
sorry, do you have a feel, and I won't hold you to this, but I have a feel, is the ECC 50% of this, 20% of this, 95%? I won't hold you to it, but I don't want us to say no, go through all this work, and you come back and go, the ECC is still $580,000, that's what I mean.
I mean, like, turn off the microphone for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, 60/40, 70/30, something like that.
Which way?
So when we look,
Lesser on the ECC side.
Right.
when we look at the breakdowns, like System A, is it System A and System B? Is that how they've quoted this?
System A is the ECC, System B, what?
So we just look at material,
well, I'm
System A
not sure.
is 78,000, System B is 170,000 from the wind water material.
I was
breakdown.
So it's about a 66-33 split, roughly 35, 65, something like that, yeah.
So,
Quick math,
if
yeah.
you guys are curious, so if you look at the proposal from Jim Phillips, so just the difference in the systems alone, he's crediting back as a part of this, the original detention system at $114,500. The new system just is $192,895. That's just the system itself. And like I said, there is some additional curb inlets and piping and some other things that go along with that. That's the wild card factor that I can't quantify for you right now.
We get that credit no matter the decision, right?
no, if we stick with the original.
The credit
we
is
do the original.
basically old material and then new material on top of it, which is more expensive,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, what he's crediting is the original system that was
Right.
included in the original.
Right, and then the city
And the new system.
engineer.
Yep, get it all back, add it all in.
I guess it's just, again, to lay it all on the table, the only thing as a board members I will say is the only thing gives me a little pause is I don't want us to say no, and then they come back with the ECC and it's still $500,000 and we can just lump this all together for $7.
But I don't know, do we lose anything besides a week by doing that?
Well, that's a good point, yeah.
You know, I mean, because if we come back and it says ECC is $500,000, we vote yes on both and just proceed. There's no going back to the city or
I mean, we
anything.
could always have,
Honestly, I don't even think that's our problem, should have been presented to us at this meeting.
I think we have, yeah.
I think
We can always have a
also-
special meeting if we needed to push it through.
We would need to.
Yeah.
If you guys could get the,
Otherwise, it's gonna be delayed.
yeah, I think we have to see a separate, I mean, I think we have to make an educated decision, I think we have to see. it
I think
separate.
we looped this all in together because we thought it was gonna be a really small add-on project. Like, oh, we're just gonna move this over, be nothing. And I think as a school said, hey, just price it all together, not knowing how big it was gonna be. And that might be our fault for saying, hey, let's do this,
Yeah.
without
We
knowing
were just
first.
changing stormwater retention, so we just did it all
Yeah.
together, both places.
Yeah.
Contractors have done it for weeks.
There's two other pieces in here that we need to look at. Hold on, I'm trying to get to it. Which is the,
Lighting,
yeah,
the lighting will change.
So the lighting, we don't need to worry about yet.
You can't, yeah, you don't wanna approve the lighting if you're
Right.
gonna change.
And that was all of that, so we do need to address the $38,183 one, which is page,
That should be the water heater and locker
Yeah.
room.
which
Storage
is
door,
page
double door.
14 and 15, which is the $38,183.05, which is which is the double door, the water heater, and the sump pump for the girls' locker room.
What's the total?
Not the-
38,000.
Not the sump pump.
The sump pump's not, does it say sump pump on there?
Yeah, pour new concrete lid on existing sump.
Oh,
sump.
sorry,
I'm
that,
sorry.
that is for the athletic training, yes.
Okay.
correct. So we took that out, we're just filling the hole.
Okay. So it's $38,183.05.
$38,183.05.
Yes.
That's necessary things, just to the hot water heater, the door, the, okay.
And this is extra from what was bid prior.
Right, these are basically us.
What we asked for, we asked to go ahead and redo the
So-
water heater in the 70s and do the double door.
We need to move forward on that, so they
Yes.
keep going.
So they can keep moving, then it's like, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, which is page 15. if you look at it. So would someone like to
I'll make the motion.
offer a motion to approve the $38,183.05 portion?
Yeah, I'll
Just-
second that.
And then if I hear correctly, we're gonna separate it out, come back together, look at that, and
Yep.
then make a decision moving forward,
Yes.
which will affect then the lighting or won't.
Right.
Okay.
I think just give us.
Do you have a date that you think we could reconvene on that?
Well, I think it depends on the expectation for the accuracy of the pricing. I mean, if you guys wanted something where you could sign on the dotted line, they would need to go back and redesign, check and make sure it works with the city, provide us with new documents, takes us a week to price it. If we wanna reconvene in a week, I think what we can probably do is provide you a damn close budget number. And that's gonna be based on, we're gonna leave probably the current site layout because of the trees. We had to change the asphalt layout and everything because of the trees, but we're gonna delete the detention. There may be some fallout implications from that. So I think in a week, we can get a darn close budget number. I think that also provides the design team some time to talk to the city and make sure that we actually can delete that system, that we're not mucking with the hard surfaces enough to where they're gonna make you guys do it anyway.
I like
I think
that.
that would be a smart move.
Yeah, I like that
For that
option.
period of time,
Yeah, and as our part, I think we're all willing to come back in a week or as soon as is reasonable to kind of keep things moving. So currently I have a motion to approve the $38,183.05, which if I read this right is PCO number 005 portion of this, and then we'll revisit the other after it's been represented to us. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? That's everyone. Jason. Thank you guys for being here to answer those things. I know that's not fun, but.
Sorry to meet under these circumstances. I'll bring donuts next time.
Donuts next
Ice
time?
cream.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Next up is approval of MSBA 2025C policy.
Yes, so generally in our policy updates, we do 3 different reads, but this policy update is all stemming from House bill, from legislation that came this past year. And so, we have several that we need to go ahead and just push through in order to start the school year. So, you'll see in a discussion item, we've got 25B that we're gonna approve as a first read. This is 25C, so we are jumping. Hopefully you watched that video. It is a great little video, and on the discussion item for the 25B, there's another video overview that just kind of helps describe and go through some of these policies, but essentially some legislation changes. Board member qualifications stating that you can't run for the board if you were convicted of an assault that happened on school grounds. There's several pieces in here that talk about Orientation, talk about homeschooling. One of them is homeschool declaration, just stating what identifies considered homeschool and parent-involved learning. There is the piece that they did approve that homeschool is allowed to participate in school activities, extracurricular, co-curricular. So it outlines policy for that. There's several things on virtual schools, so virtual due process, and a student has the right to have due process if a school puts a student on, due to disciplinary issues on virtual, a student has a right for due process. It does allow full-time MOCAP students and who are participating in any virtual to participate in activities as well as the homeschool students. And then the last one is cell phone is the big one. So use of cell phones and cell phone policy, which doesn't change any of our procedures. We already were no phones. Of course, kids and some teachers still allow it, but we'll continue to follow that as well, which is new laws. So 2025C, almost all of those will start immediately when school starts in August. So we will need to approve those tonight.
Somebody like a motion?
I had one question on that, and this kind of comes up for another topic, but in that video, they did talk about the gifted program. How does that apply? I think it was if you have a testing criteria, and I know that's been a topic of discussion. So was it 3% test gifted, then you have to have a gifted program? So how does that apply to us?
Do you know what that is?
I don't know it offhand, the number, but I believe last I knew we were under it.
We were, when we looked into it and eliminating that part-time person.
Okay.
We were under there. But hopefully if our levy passes, we can bring it back. That's the goal. And that's definitely a discussion we can have back in August.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion for approval of the MSBA 2025C.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Terry.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Joe. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? It's everyone. We have discussion items.
Construction, what? Update, parking lot is, obviously it's gonna depend on where we go with moving forward, but right now we're looking at a November 1. Locker room, we've been at a standstill now for around 6 weeks. And starting to work now, back up to work with the water issues. So we had some water issues, water in the locker room. Last I sent you guys into last week was that they cut the line, which they did. But then with all the rain, we had more. So into last week, this weekend we had rain. We come in this week, we've got more water in the locker room. So I think we left with talked in our last construction meeting on Thursday, had a long conversation. I called Randy McLean trying to get some background information. And we feel like when the PAC was added, one of the entrances down there in the girls' locker room, there was a drain, if I'm right, Tyler?
Yep.
And they filled that with rock and concrete, but never closed that drain, so there's still water getting in somehow. So ultimately, after testing, lots of testing and waiting, we determined a couple different causes, and we feel like moving forward will be the sump pump that I've referred to a couple different times. So putting in a sump pump down there will help revert that going forward.
I've heard that too, yes. But I mean, they seem to be just things this week they found. But I think some waterproofing along that wall, finding where that line penetrates the old exterior wall on that PAC side, on the girls' locker room. And then they feel there's a lot of confidence on where the addition's going on the east side there, that's gonna take that storm water away from the boys' side and get properly included into that footing and the drainage that runs along on the new addition. So, but yeah, at this time, the conversation's been just a sump pump on the girls' side that is the lowest, and help alleviate all that water.
But it's delayed, so we know that we're not gonna have locker rooms to start the school year, so we'll start making some alternative plans there. Otherwise, the only other thing really that's kind of taken off, starting on, so you can see that they went and excavated the practice field on the the west side of the middle school. But once we got in there and dug, there's quite a bit of rock. So Tyler and crew and some recruitment of others are gonna have a tractor and some equipment to remove some of that rock. But then we're looking to irrigate
Yeah,
that.
weather permitting, we're hoping to start on that rock removal process tomorrow.
Yes.
And that's in the new dirt that got added over there?
the new dirt. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So, anything
So the
else?
Completion date now for the locker rooms is November 1st,
October 1st.
October 1st.
Parking lot's November 1st.
Parking lot for.
Primary.
Gotcha.
Demo on the primary side, both those old buildings are, I'd say it's probably 95%, depends on what they did after 4:30 today.
Yeah.
But the steel building had a couple upright vertical poles, that's about it.
That's our update.
Next up is the levy transfer.
Levy transfer, August 5th. We've been putting out stuff, flyers. I've had a couple of people call, that my contact information was on a flyer, so, getting those out early helped. Had a couple of people call just asking some questions. We've got some more stuff, social media going out, but I think the biggest message, and I've got an email tomorrow to staff, is just remind people to vote. It's the only thing on the ballot measure. We are the only question. All of Jackson County only has 2 questions, Raytown and us. But it's the only, so people have to show up to vote. So, and luckily it's simple majority, so that definitely is in our favor. But ending the year with the 10.8% reserves really proves that we need that. We need that transfer in order to build back up for us. So just reminding you guys, share anything you can, and just reminding people to get out to vote. Exercise that right.
Talk about the 2025 policy update.
Policy update, so that's just first read, take a look at that. That's just their general policy update. They did in that video that, they did share that there's gonna be several coming back to back. Usually they try quarterly to do policy updates, but there was so much legislation this spring that does drive change in board policy, so there's gonna be a lot of policies coming. So we'll just do 2 reads from here on, just because we're gonna have multiples, and otherwise they're all gonna overlap and it'll get confusing, so we'll approve this one next month. Update on our bank account. So last month we talked quite a bit about the fraud that happened, so follow up. I met with the bank. They were very willing to eat that cost, so it wasn't our cost. They took ownership in that. They have since implemented the fingerprinting at their locations, and they have also given us the opportunity, if we wanted, which we did take them up on, is their bank policy allows you to cash a check from the person. If the person, without the person having a bank account, because the check was from us, as long as they have an ID. They've said that they can remove that if we want as a school district, and we said yes. There was no reason. All of our people get paid through ACH, or the few people that do get a check and payment from us, we know have established bank accounts, so going forward, anybody we hire, we'll just let them know that it either needs to be ACH or they have to have established bank account. They can't cash through our bank. So they did share that, and they've trained all their tellers on that. They did give the caveat and clause that this is against their policy, like their policy is that they allow it. So new staff, as they come on, they'll have to remind them that, hey, if something comes through the school, we don't check it. So there is a chance that a check could get, but their general policy would be that they're not gonna allow them. So it's just another measure they were willing to take, but very willing to work with us, and have made some internal policy changes in all of their branches from this experience.
So that's great,
very close.
from where you started and
Yes.
the conversations that were had.
Well,
so.
well,
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Next, discussion, Senate Bill 68 overview. So this is just to give you information. When I said that there's lots of changes that came through legislation in the spring, there was. So this was the big ominous bill. So some of this stuff goes into effect right away. Some of it we have a year. Some of it supposedly there's some granting coming through to help fund it. Get the let out. We've already established, and we did that last year. A little bit talking about so in the past, when a student was suspended, you didn't get ADA on them. So this changes that when a student is suspended, we're still providing education virtually, so we do continue to get the ADA on them. So there's several things in here that require cardiac response plans and cardiac training, stop the bleed training, CPR training. So there's quite a bit of information in there. All schools are required to have a safety coordinator, designate somebody who goes through training to be your building safety coordinator. Additional safety measures with some film and incident reports regarding safety. Some information on teacher representatives for State Board of Education, STEM awareness, virtual assessments. The big one is the electronic personal communication device for students, schools adopting a policy for students not to use cell phones. So anyway, you can see through there's several things. There is a little change with the 169-day calendar provision. There was some concern that there was never going to be relief for excessive snow or weather, tornado, flooding, etc. So this allows a provision for that. Juvenile court notification just allows some conversations with when schools to be informed when a student is going through anything regarding court. So anyway, lots of things that we will come through. These are what are going to drive some of those policy changes that you see, and that we are going to have coming in the future. So there's lots of things we add to our to-do list this school year. One of those, and along with that, I had our SROs had reached out to our social workers, had been working with our SROs and our administrators, and one of the things we were really concerned is a lot of cities and counties have parent responsibility ticket in regard to attendance, and so when you have chronic students with attendance, a lot of times, especially if they're elementary, how do we discipline kids? And it's parents not getting kids to school. And so a lot of cities can approve an ordinance that allows police or SROs to write parent responsibility ticket. So it's a little responsibility back on the parents not sending their kids to school. And we're talking chronic absenteeism. So anyway, so Chief Childs, SROs went to Chief Childs. Chief called me. He was on board, supportive of it. Went to City Council. City Council had a lot of questions. So I'm going to City Council on the 18th. With Chief as they represent it, just to give them some of the information. And they have legit questions like, well, if my kid misses 10 days, we're gonna write a parent responsibility. No, we're gonna exhaust every one of our options. We're talking, I mean, we had some kids with less than 60% attendance. We had some kids missing 30, 40, 50 days of school. And so this is when our principals are reaching out, they're talking to them daily. When the kid does come, they're connecting with the family, we're sending letters, we're calling, we are exhausting all of our options. Then we pass it on after our building principals do all of that and the classroom teachers do all that. Then we pass that to our social workers, who then they try to provide resources. What's going on with the child? What's going on wrong with the family? How can we give help and resources? And then the next layer to that then is, okay, now we need to involve our SROs. There needs to be some accountability on the parent to get the student to school. And so I'll be presenting that to and working with Chief Childs just to give some more information to City Council. I would say, I think one of their questions was, well, how many of these tickets would we go to? And I would say in a school year, district-wide, less than 20. So it's excessive. It's the ones that we are constantly trying to have conversation, and we've exhausted every one of our options. So, and that kind of ties to the Senate bill overview, because it does talk quite a bit about cities and juvenile courts working with the schools to ensure that we're all aware and on the same page to provide supports for kids. So.
What's the date you're going?
August 18th, Monday, August 18th. And then final, I had shared with Keith and just kind of wanted to let you guys know and give you information. So I have been elected to serve on the statewide Superintendent Association, MASSA, Missouri Association of School Administrators. So I was chosen from my region to represent West Central, but to move into the executive committee. So what that means is this year I'm secretary, next year I'm treasurer, the following year I'm vice president, the following year I'm president, the 5th year I am president-elect. So it is a 5-year commitment. So I just kind of wanted to share the attachment is that all the activities statewide throughout the month, but the highlighted would be additional. So most of our meetings are already corresponding when I'm already at state meetings. Like I've got my DESE state conference this week. I leave Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We have a meeting where we're already all there. So there are 3 different times, once in September, once in November, and once in June that it sends me to Jeff City for a day and a half. So that's additional. Lodging is always paid for by MASSA, and reimbursement is paid for by them for these, but just kind of wanted to share. It does put me on a state platform, which is beneficial and it represents our school well, but there's 3 different times that it does pull me away from the district as well, but it's good things. I was a little hesitant because the year that I would be president is my daughter's senior year, and so I thought, what does that entail? As mom, you don't want to miss things, but I've been encouraged that it won't be. And a little bit of bittersweet. My dad was MASSA. He served in the executive role. And Doug Hyder, who was the executive director who nominated me and voted me in, my dad nominated him and voted him in. superintendent. So it's kind of just a full circle moment for me, but I'm happy to serve in that state capacity and continue to represent Oak Grove. So,
Well, congratulations,
Yeah, thank
that's
you.
great. I think that's a great honor.
Yeah.
You should be proud.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and I sit monthly at DESE with our state commissioner, with our school leaders from across the state to help be decision maker and to be, provide the resources needed for superintendents across the state of Missouri. So, yeah, I'm excited for the opportunity.
There's nothing else on the discussion items. I'd like to let everybody know that our next regular meeting is August 20th with open session starting at 7 p.m.
It is the first
Which
day.
is also the first day. of school.
I do have one question on that. Last year in the start of school was a little bit rocky with getting schedules and everything needed to have a crisp first day. Is there any additional resources that you need to make it a smooth start this year?
I would say locker rooms, but I'm not gonna have them. So I think that's out the window. No, I mean, we definitely,
You need trailers for locker rooms? Trailers?
we have some classrooms. We've got some classrooms.
When does the office open up for schedule changes?
Offices open August 4th, so they will be open. Schedule changes, Dr. McLean worked really hard with both middle school and high school to really revamp our schedule process and how we do the scheduling. And so we're hopeful that that'll be smoother this year, most definitely, for kids coming back and be ready to go with schedules and schedule changes. There is an email that went out, just middle school, letting parents know that when you do your online enrollment, you can see your kid's schedule, but that's probably not their full schedule. Like, there's still some changes to be made when they open offices August 4th. So, but yeah, we cross our fingers. It's a lot of coordination to get done, but our goal is
Do you have
smooth.
suggestions?
I don't know, should there be a calendar change? I don't know, is there?
Calendar change?
I'm just saying, more time needed for administration to make sure that they have all their ducks in a row?
No,
We have a later start than other districts, right?
Oh, Dave. Some districts bring administration back into July, and we do the 1st of August. So that may be a discussion, but I think it's more just outlining change in expectation. That will hopefully see a change.
Well, I think CTC starts today before we do.
Yeah. Do we want to earmark a day to reconvene with information from updated information from Fuller Anderson? I mean, a week from today is the 30th, but do we want to look at like the 31st?
I guess it kind of depends on whether they can
that far.
get it. They seem to think they could. Guess we can pencil in one.
Yeah.
Can we do the 30th instead of the 31st? The last day of the
They
month
have
for
it.
me is,
Yeah, I mean, if they have it in time, and I guess it doesn't do any good to set a date if we don't know when they're gonna have
I
it.
think it's better.
I can follow up tomorrow and see if we can get,
I mean, everybody just try to.
Yeah, can we tentatively set the 30th and then let him?
if it changes,
Move it.
we can-
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Does everybody just kind of mark a calendar for the 30th?
He said a week, so
Yeah.
we'll do it.
Are we
Yeah.
gonna do it here or in the?
We'll do
office?
it here, but we could do it earlier. What's the earliest everybody can get together?
On a Wednesday, 5 o'clock.
By 5, probably.
So we wanna do 5:30?
Makes sense.
Or 5.
If anybody else, everybody's gonna travel, can you? Can you do
I can make anything work.
I'll make it work.
that? 5? We can do
5?
5.
Okay. We'll tentatively plan 5 on the 30th, and I'll let
Make sure Jeff shows up.
them know.
Where's Jeff?
All right.
Oversee. Awesome. Seeing nothing else on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Terry.
He's in.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? That's everyone. Thank you, everybody.
Best beer in the world, I bet that guy's having a glass